South Carolina is the most underrated team in all of college football. A defense that is absolutely stellar, and a team who has one of the best resumes in the nation. If I was a committee member, the Gamecocks would easily be a top 12 team in the playoff for me, and we'll see how things play out. But the big reason they've been so impressive is because they arguably have the best defensive line in the SEC. From true freshman Dylan Stewart to Kyle Kennard to even the secondary with guys like Nick Emanwari playing at an elite level, they've got numerous players who can rush the passer and make life more difficult on the quarterback. And one of my favorite players on this team is interior defensive lineman tjsanders. Sanders was a player I loved when I studied him this summer, and he has followed that up with having another really impressive year for South Carolina, and has started to see himself appear in first-round mock drafts. In a defensive tackle class that is absolutely loaded, how high should Sanders be taken in the 2025 NFL Draft? That is what we will be discussing in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon, where for $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my in-depth draft guide with over 550 prospects and scouting reports. You also will be allowed to participate in weekly polls, allowing you guys to vote on which prospect spotlights I do in a future video. Leave a comment and let me know which players you guys would be interested in seeing, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at tjsanders. Sanders has flown under the radar and has put up some pretty solid numbers for the Gamecocks over the last couple of seasons. In 2023, Sanders finished the year with 27 total pressures, 5 sacks, 30 run stops, and 31 total tackles for the year, and he was a player who I really liked when coming into the season. In 2024, he has almost identical numbers across the board. He has 28 total pressures, 4 sacks, 20 run stops, and 30 tackles on the season, and he is a player who is starting to garner some legitimate first-round buzz. As an athlete, Sanders really stands out. For one, he has the prototypical length that you look for on the inside. He's got a great build with long arms, but it's quickness that really shines. He's got an explosive first step off the line of scrimmage, and he does an awesome job of converting that into power. He's very fluid, has great lateral quickness, and I'm overall really impressed with his overall athletic abilities. Some people may say he's undersized at 6'4", 290, but he looks bigger than what he is listed as, and I think he has some solid size as a whole. As a run defender, I think that's Sanders' best trait. He has the crackdown speed and quickness to get into the backfield and blow plays up as a run defender, but I think he's a very smart player. He's got incredible gap discipline, and he shows the ability to get skinny and explode into the backfield. He has 58 career run stops, and he's graded out incredibly well as a run defender throughout his career. As a pass rusher, he also shows some tools. The quickness and the ability to get skinny between defenders is really good, but he also flashes a really strong bull rush. He has a low center of gravity, and he is able to power through offensive linemen. It's not perfect for him, but he is starting to develop in the area as a pass rusher, and I think he could be a really intriguing flyer for a team to take. The biggest issue with Sanders that shows up is his play strength. There were so many times he was completely bullied by opposing offensive linemen. There are times when he shows great power as a rusher, but he often struggles to beat double teams and get off blocks. He doesn't have that type of play strength in his arsenal, and it also shows up as a tackler. Sanders does have some missed tackles in the run game at times that I'd like to see improve, but I think the big thing is he's got to be able to get off double teams, and he hasn't been able to do that consistently enough to my liking. The other area of concern with Sanders is I often feel he has no plan as a pass rusher. His hands can get pretty stiff, and I don't think he fully understands how to leverage himself in order to get off blocks and get into the backfield. He often wins with his quickness or power, and I'd like to see him utilize more pass rush moves in order to win, and not be so reliant on his tools at times. Again, it's getting better and he still shows upside as a pass rusher, but I still think he leaves some to be desired. tjsanders is a really good athlete, and a player who flashes some really high-end upside as a run defender. He has tools as a pass rusher, and while it's not perfect, I think teams are going to be willing to take a flyer on a guy like him. There is a lot to like. He's got to get stronger, he's got to be able to take on double teams, but he's my number 5 defensive tackle in the draft class. He's been a player I've been in love with since I turned his tape on this offseason, and I think he can be a really great player at the next level if he's given the right opportunity. He's my number 34 overall prospect in the draft class. In terms of a scheme fit, I think that Sanders is going to work best as a single gap penetrator in a 4-3 defensive scheme. A player who gets one-on-one matchups and can be a potential difference maker up front. I love what he brings in the area in one-on-one matchups, and he can beat defenders really easily. And I think he's going to thrive in that role at the NFL level. In terms of a player comparison, Sanders reminds me a lot of LA Rams defensive tackle Kobe Turner. Turner is a player who's maybe not the biggest guy in the world, but he's a player who has been a really impressive pass rusher and run defender throughout his 2 years in the NFL. He's a player who moves very well. He's physical, he has a high motor, and I think Turner has a lot of those same tools and traits that could make him a really great NFL player. Sanders is awesome, and I think he's got a lot of the tools that Turner has, and he can be a very similar type of player. TjSanders is sensational. He has elite run defense and athletic tools, but he certainly has a few areas that he could improve on. With a good all-star circuit and combine, I think that TjSanders will be a top 50 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.